This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On San Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right, Houston, this is Gilbert Andrew Garcia, A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. And, of course, we have our opening song. And we're going to play it in its entirety at the end. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful song. And it's called Love One Another. And, boy, do we need to love one another more than ever in this world these days. So we're going to play it its entirety. But the words are amazing. Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine on us all. Set us free. It's really an incredible, incredible song. But I really want to go straight in, Mr. Producer, into our guest, because I have a dear friend of mine, but boy, is she an incredible guest. And I can't believe I got her on the show. And that is our own district attorney, Ms. Kim Ogg. The studio audience is loving that already. District attorney. Do people call you like Madam Attorney or District Attorney? Or
no, that sounds so weird.
Does it?
Fashion? No, you just call me D.A. Auger on this show. You're welcome to call me Kim, Gilbert. I've known you about 25 years.
Well, I'll just call you. Well, I mean, I've got to call you Madam District Attorney.
No, you call me D.A. Ogg.
D.A. Ogg. There you go. D.A. Ogg. Well, let me ask you this, because you have really been sort of in public service or quasi-public service. Really, it seems like your whole life, right?
Yes,
I mean,
right.
How did it happen for you? I mean, what was your inspiration that got you involved in public service?
So when I was 6 years old, my dad ran for office and I had no choice. That's what got me involved. It was fun, though. As a family, we campaigned for my dad for the State House of Representatives, then later for the Senate. So all my life, I was working polls or hanging around people at the food table at functions to meet other politicians. So it's in my blood. And when I became a prosecutor, I had no idea that I would ever be interested in running for office, much less DA. But I did see it as a position that you could help a lot of people from. And that's what I chose to do when I ran in 2013 for the first time.
And your dad was kind of really, he was a legend, right? I mean, how long was he in office?
He was in office 18 years.
Yep.
And as I was telling you, he passed bilingual education. He passed the Highway Beautification Act, liquor by the drink. He carried the ERA. He helped reinstate the death penalty after it was declared unconstitutional. He was really a very middle of the road guy, but he took important positions on big issues. And I think that's always inspired me to action. I'm really about our government working for us. I think government should be service oriented, because that's what I grew up around. And in Texas, that's what makes things work.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'd like to think I'm an educated man, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't feel like it. But let me ask, so when people say you are D.A. Ogg, does that mean you're the DA's office, the law firm of the county? I mean, what exactly does it mean? And how many lawyers and people are in the office?
It is the criminal prosecution office for the entire county. Now, Harris County is 4.9 million people. And 4.9 million people make us bigger than 26 states. So we handle all criminal
county
prosecution.
Is bigger than 22 states?
26
states, and you're handling all the criminal prosecutions.
Luckily, not me. 350 lawyers with me.
Yeah.
It's not nearly enough. We have about 135,000 cases pending. Those are active and not under arrest. And we have about 100,000 that are active. And you see us now trying some of the biggest cases that have happened in Houston over the last 6 years. I think more cases are finally going to trial, and we're starting to catch up.
How do y'all, how does it divvy up and then y'all get in a room and say, okay, this case, okay, we'll give it to this district attorney or this assistant district attorney? I mean, how does it work?
So we're a huge law firm, a public law firm, if you will, with a huge caseload. And we operate horizontally is the way they describe it, meaning one person looks at the case coming in. Another person handles it at the bond hearing, arguing for public safety to the court. Another person yet takes it to trial. And so we do that because we have really too few people for anyone to hold on to a case from day one until the end. That said, we have some very experienced lawyers in divisions that focus exclusively on one crime: homicide, sex crimes, domestic violence.
Interesting. Now we already have a caller. So we have a caller. Is there a Carla on the line? Miss
Yes,
Carla, are you there?
White. Yes, sir. I'm here.
Speak to me, Carla. You have me, and you have, of course, our district attorney, DA Kim Ogg. What you got for us?
Well, I'm Dr. Carla L. Wyatt, and I'm out here at the polls today. Today is the first day of early voting. I think it's extremely important for all of us to get out and vote. Whether you blue or red, it doesn't matter to me. What's important is that we get out to vote and help people understand the strength in voting. I actually am on the ballot for the first time. My name is Dr. Carla L. Wyatt. Carla like the hurricane, Wyatt like Earp. I am running for Harris County Treasurer. I do have an opponent. He's a very nice guy. I just happen to be more experienced than he is with regard to Harris County. I've been there for almost 20 years now. Started out as an intern, and I have worked my way up through and around Harris County. And I respect Kim Ogg greatly. She is somebody that I look to as a guidepost, and I'm hoping to serve Harris County well as your next Harris County Treasurer.
Carla, I'm going to ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Again, I'd like to think I sort of know things, but you know what? The more I know, the more I don't know. What does the county treasurer really do? I mean, tell the public, what's your function?
The function of the Harris County Treasurer is all money in, all money out, regardless whether it's paychecks, whether it's taxes, anything, contracts, all money in, all money out. The treasurer is the person that balances the books and makes sure that everything gets taken care of with regard to money in and money out. Some people kind of get it confused and say, oh, the treasurer deals with the budget and is going to balance the budget. That is not the responsibility of the treasurer. That is the responsibility of Commissioner's Court. The treasurer works with Commissioner's Court to make sure that all money is accounted for in or out.
And what poll are you at? And are you seeing traffic? And by the way, I'm so glad you brought it up, because everyone listening, please listen and listen carefully. Please register to vote and vote. Vote anywhere. You know you can vote everywhere now in the whole area. So vote.
During the early voting, you can vote anywhere. I recommend that people print out their ballot and work on it at home. You can take that paper in there with you. You cannot work from an electronic device, but you can use a paper ballot when you go to the poll. So if you, I met a young man the other day. He told me he couldn't vote for me because he was a convicted felon. And I told him, you can vote for me. Take somebody else to vote. Take your neighbor, your cousin, your friends, anybody that may not have a ride to the poll. Take someone to the polls. It's time to get out and vote, and we have to do it early. The first day of voting normally tells us the story, so we'll see what happens today. And I'm just encouraged that we have a long line out here at Wallaceville.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's a long line out here of people, blue, red. They're out here. They're getting out to vote. I don't know if they're coming on their lunch break or what, but they're out here.
Amen. Well, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Tell us, where's your website if people want to learn about you? Put it out there.
Dr. Carla Wyatt for Harris County Treasurer. Carla like the hurricane, Wyatt like Earp. Some people call me Trouble, but that's okay. Good trouble.
Good luck, Carla. Hang in there.
Thank you, Kim Ogg. I appreciate you and respect you so much. And thank you, Gilbert, for giving me a platform to tell people to get out and vote. Carla like the hurricane, Wyatt like Earp, troublemaker extraordinaire.
Wonderful. We thank you. I don't think I'm going to forget that one. Carla like the hurricane, Wyatt like Earp. So we have another caller already. Is Ron Reynolds on the line? Is this Representative Ron Reynolds? Yes. Ron, are you there?
A tip one.
Ron Reynolds. Well, I think we lost
Hello?
him. Oh, is this
No, I'm here.
Ron Reynolds? Is this you?
Hey,
Is
Gilbert.
this like the Ron Reynolds?
Hey, is this Gilbert, the man with the plan?
This is me. And guess
Hey,
what?
brother.
Talk about plans. I have Kim Ogg here on the line with me. Can you believe that?
Wonderful.
I mean, Kim is just, listen, she's unbelievable. I think the most wonderful thing, though, is when you have someone that's in incredible power as a district attorney, you want someone with a really fair-minded compass.
You got to have that.
You know,
need that temperament.
Someone, even, I think that's a better word, great
Right,
temperament. Ron, what do you got for me or for Kim? And it was a pleasure seeing you at the Rally for Democracy this weekend.
Yes. Well, Gilbert. First of all, thank you, Kim, for being a great, or should I say, DA Kim Ogg.
There you go.
Harris County DA Kim Ogg, for being such a great district attorney, serving our community, and being a zealous advocate for those who have been, victimized. And so, thank you for that. She's been a long time. You've been a long time friend, and we've always worked well together. And so, Gilbert, I just called in to say, first of all, thank you for allowing me and my colleague Christina Morales to guest host this time last week. It was fun. It was great. While you went off to big things at CNBC, but I just wanted to also thank you for the signs that are in my district all over, encouraging people to vote. Today's the first day of early voting. We need people to vote their values. We need people to get out of their comfort zones and vote this midterm election. The stakes couldn't be higher. I don't have to go through the litany of reasons why, but your voice is your vote. So make sure that your voice is counted by casting a vote. Today's a good day to do it, the first day of early voting. You don't have to wait till the lines get long towards the end or on election day, November 8th. You can do it today. And then secondly, we had such a great time. Gilbert, you mentioned yesterday. I want to thank you for being one of the major sponsors for the Get Out the Vote rally that we had yesterday downtown in front of the George R. Brown. It was fantastic. There was so much energy. There were so many people who said because of that, they were going to vote today. So I want to thank you for your generosity. And then I missed you, but we were both there for the El Salvadorian concert.
Were
I
you
want
at
to thank you
that?
for sponsoring. I did, of course.
Oh my God!
I did. I went there and presented a proclamation.
Oh man!
But I want to thank you. Here's why I want to thank you, because some of my students in my district that were from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, they went to their first concert. We gave out over 50 tickets to Willow Ridge High School students. I posted the picture and gave you credit, but I saw some of them out there. They were so thankful and they had such a great time. They took their families. It was great, clean fun for the El Salvadorian community. It was amazing. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee had a blast. We presented on the stage that evening, that night. So I just wanted to thank you publicly for sponsoring the students that are working hard, that don't have much money to pay for tickets for the concert. They went and they had a blast, and those smiling faces were great. So I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for using this platform finally to encourage people in our community to vote, and also to be abreast of what's happening in our community. People get a chance to call in and get public service announcements. So thank you for everything, for being a good steward with your resources and to giving back. It takes a village. You're paying it forward. We all stayed on the shoulders of those who came before us, but certainly you're doing your part to make our communities a better place to live, work, and play. So I know there's a lot of people that want to get in today. I just wanted to say that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and go vote, go vote, go vote.
Ron, you are a gentleman. I thank you for calling in, my friend. And I am sorry I missed you, but you know what? There'll be many more events. So thank you, Mr. Ron Reynolds.
Absolutely.
Everyone,
all right.
that's
Have a
Ron Reynolds,
day.
of course, our state representative. He's always
safe,
fighting
Ron.
for people.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, DA.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right,
bet.
guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Now, you know, I have my El Salvadorian shirt on for those of you who can see me in cyberspace. And what was fascinating, Kim, DA Ogg, is I had about 10 members of their Congress in my office Friday, and we were talking about issues in El Salvador. Are you ready for this? They passed a law making it easier to vote.
Of course.
Can you imagine that? So now in El Salvador, people can vote here if they're a citizen, and most of them have dual citizenship because of the history of their coming here during the civil wars and all the guerrillas and everything. And they can now vote over there. It's amazing. And guess what? They can vote electronically. Can you imagine?
It just makes sense.
right?
It's the
It's just-
21st century. We've just seen a backwards trend here in Texas, and it's really disturbing. And so I'm with you. Let's get everybody out to vote. Let's vote in person. If you're concerned about the mail, don't do it. Just come down, go to any poll. You can make it happen. You just have to take the time and work those ballots at home.
That's right. Let's go back to your office for a second. So how many attorneys were there? Are there 300?
350 attorneys prosecuting all crimes that are filed by agencies in Harris County. Remember, not all crimes are solved. So there's really hundreds of thousands of crimes reported every year. We file about 100,000.
Well, let me ask you this. Those that go, I guess the word unsolved, what happens?
It's terrible. Most people forget that population that never receives justice. And so the cases remain open. They remain in detectives' drawers, if you will, or police files. Sometimes cold case squads are developed, but often resources aren't available to support that. And so cases go unsolved. People go without justice. Sometimes DNA identifies a victim years later, or even a perpetrator. So through the advancement of science, we've seen some of those cases solved. But it's very important to remember that there's a huge population there who doesn't get victim services. They don't get justice in the courts. And it's hard for people to live with injustice. And that's what it is. That's why where your resources go, how our government spends hard-earned tax dollars that we pay really matters. And you want to vote with your interest. And our interest at the DA's office is crime victims. That's not just who we represent. We represent all the people. But we bring cases on behalf of crime victims against their perpetrators. So that's where our interest is. And when you hear me talk, remember, we all vote in a way that's consistent with our interests. So I'm looking for those with the willingness to financially support that part of the system that helps crime victims report, successfully prosecute, and pick up their lives after something violent has happened.
God, it's just, it just breaks my heart to hear that, but I totally get it, because there's just so much crime. And let me ask you, is it a myth, or is really, let's get away from all the noise and all this and that. Is crime up?
Yes, crime is up.
What's really, what do you think is the reason? Is it just,
let's talk about
people have nowhere to go? Well, let's talk about
what's
up. Okay.
Okay. There's a lot of misinformation about crime, and the easiest thing to do is look at it over a long period of time. And so my career spans 35 years. When I got to Houston, back here home after college, we were known as the murder capital of the United States. It was horrific. That's a terrible byline.
What about year was that? What time?
About 1980.
In the 80s.
83.
83. Okay.
Okay. And so things were really rough in America. You saw urban violence. You saw a high homicide rate. It got as high as about 2,000 in New York, 5 boroughs. Here it was over 800.
Over 800?
We've been approaching that number in this last 4-year period. That's my concern. In between, we saw a great period of stability. That's a model for at least beginning our solution and our plan to combat this crime problem. So yes, we're down from this time last year, this time last month, that kind of thing. But when you look at trends, you really have to accept that we're in a serious period in urban America in terms of gun violence, in terms of domestic violence, gang violence. And there are proven programs and policies and practices that we can use to get this crime problem down. Our backlog right now, with so many people out on the street awaiting trial on bail, is a big problem. People get into trouble when they're out for long periods of time, unfortunately. And so what we need are more lawyers, more people to help other people get through this case backlog. With 135,000 cases and only 350 lawyers, you can do the math. It'll probably take, with full funding, it would take 3 years to pull out at a minimum.
And nothing could be more frustrating, I think, than to be a victim of crime and to sit there sort of helpless. Like you just want to go to your district attorney. I guess, I don't know what the casework person is, to say, get them, go get them.
Well, many people call me direct, and there's nothing wrong with that. And being a native, I know thousands of people,
Yeah.
they are frustrated, Gilbert, and they want justice, and we owe them to it. We owe that to them. That is our burden, I think, in government, is to deliver a fair system that does protect them. So yes, I think they're frustrated. There are definitely things we can do to alleviate the problem, and that is we just need more prosecutors to try those cases more rapidly. And I think we need more courts. I supported that effort. Representative Johnson was one of the people who led it in the state house. I was proud of her, and I wish more had passed than one court. But we can do better with our state legislature. I think we're going to have to. I think we're going to have to consider working with everyone to try and just improve the number of cases that we can handle each year. And that's just going to take people.
I want to come back to the takes people and courts in just 1 second. We have a couple of callers already waiting. We speak about representatives. We have Jolanda Jones. Jolanda Jones, are you on the phone?
I'm here, Gilbert. How are you?
Representative Joe, how are you? I have here DA Kim Ogg. And first, let me just say, I was there with you yesterday during the whole democracy rally. And Joe, you still got it, lady.
Yeah, I'm going to give you some dancing lessons.
I think I need some dancing lessons. I think I was like Steve Martin in that old movie where I just didn't have any rhythm, Kim.
No, not true, Gilbert. Wrong music, baby.
It was the wrong music. Jolanda, what do you got for me or for DA Ogg for us this morning?
So one thing, I think it's a more complicated discussion. So I'd actually like to come on your show and be a guest and talk about my experiences in the courthouse as a criminal defense lawyer who's there every day. So I'd like the opportunity to do that if you would.
You got it. We'll work it out, but you got it.
And then, but what I am saying is I'm on my way to actually go vote.
Oh, great.
Because, and I dressed up.
Oh, great.
I don't have on my Sunday best, but voting is important. And I just want to remind people that today is the first day of early vote. The polls are open from 7 to 7, and the polls are open until November 4th. Early vote is open until November 4th, and then my birthday happens to be November 6th, and then election day is on November 8th.
And Joe, so where are you going to go vote?
I'm actually headed out to Sunnyside. My poll in my neighborhood used to be St. Mary's. They took it from there. Then it was Palm Center. They took it from there. But so there's polls in my neighborhood at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, at the Shrine of the Black Madonna. But Wheeler and the Shrine are relatively new. They hadn't always been there. At least I hadn't gone there. So I'm actually going to go to Sunnyside, which when I was an at-large council member, I often voted at Sunnyside. So I'm actually about to turn on Airport and go vote. I always vote on the first day of early vote. It's a thing that I started with myself once I found out there was an early vote, because I did not.
Did I lose you there, Joe? Okay, you're back.
Yeah,
you're back.
Here.
No, you're back. You're back. You know, one of the things that was fascinating to me yesterday at the vote rally was when Claude Cummins went up on the stage and he brought a receipt of his father's poll tax and he held it up, and I got a copy of it. And his father paid $1.50 to vote. And it's such a historic piece of paper. And the way it was so sterile, what's the right word? I don't know. It was just so matter of fact. It just screamed of racism. It just screamed of meanness. And, you know, he had to circle that he was colored and all that. You know, it's just terrible. You go, Joe. You go.
$1.50 back then was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Like $1.50 right now.
Yeah, this is like in 1946.
Right. My grandmother had to pay the poll.
I think we lost Jolanda Jones there, but maybe she'll call back.
I have my grandmother's last poll tax receipt too.
So I'll say this: a great Houstonian and great American, Beulah Shepard, who was from Louisiana, but ended up moving to Acres Homes on the north side, often told stories of paying the poll tax, and they had to get together the money and save it, and it was just made very difficult for them to vote, which is why I supported all the stuff that Chris Hollins did when he was over elections because he made voting easier. It should be easier, not harder.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him. Thank you, Joe, for being on the show. I will have you, so don't you worry. We'll get you back. Kim, go back to what you were saying about the poll tax. Was it your mother or grandma?
No, my grandmother saved her last poll tax. It's written on there, last poll tax I ever paid, and I believe it's something like 1962. I mean, it's
wow,
and it's just like you said. There it is, a receipt for racism. It's just terrible. And my grandmother, of course, was white, but she paid too. She had to save her nickels too. And she told that story all the time. So we have a lot to be thankful for, but we have a long way to go. We need to reclaim the ground we've lost on voting rights. I think it's very important to know that you have the responsibility, whether it's easy or not, being part of this democracy. We got to get out and do our part. And there's another real important part as well to doing your part, and that is jury service. We see people intentionally avoiding jury service, especially in civil rights cases. We'll see, we'll have good people from the neighborhood, a diverse group in the jury pool, and then people will peel off for one reason or another. They're busy, they've got jobs, they don't want to do it. And what I want to tell people is your vote on a jury is active participation in your democracy. That is a great contribution, and it doesn't cost you anything. Yes, you may lose a day of work. They're not supposed to they're not supposed to ding you for that. And I think you get some nominal fee for coming down to the polls. I know that the district clerk Burgess tried to raise that, and that was rejected. But we want to make it easy for people to serve on juries because it is your chance to hear evidence in action. It's a chance to see your courts work for you. And anybody who didn't get any justice, had a case where they were harmed and no one was ever caught, think about just what it means to serve on a jury and help somebody else get some justice.
Oh, I can only, you know what? I'm looking back. I don't think I've ever been on a jury. Now, I've been to jury duty many times, but I guess I've never been picked.
So, well, you're not picked. You may have been struck, Gilbert. You have, you've had a very storied career. A lot of people know you. Perhaps they disqualified you. I'm never serving because I'm always, always X'd out by one side, usually for cause. But jurors are actually the group that's left. It's the first 12 people or 6 in a misdemeanor case that are left on a panel. So there's all kinds of twists and turns in the justice system that sound tricky. They're really not. But you need to know that when you're there at jury duty, all you have to do is answer truthfully. You should be able to make it unless you have some bias or concern or know one of the parties. And if you do have a bias, it's important to voice it. Some people, for example, aren't going to believe just one witness. They just aren't set up to do that. Others may give police officers more credibility than somebody else. That's not correct either. So it's important to be honest, but try to at least get down there to do your part to serve.
Let me ask you this. How many criminal courts are there?
There are 39.
There's 39 trying to handle the 100,000 odd that are live and the 100,000.
The 35 that are out, never been arrested or fugitive status.
Holy cow. Just do the math. It's impossible to
get
those.
It's a math problem. So when I go to argue budget, that's what I often say. This is not a matter of philosophy. This is a math problem. I mean, you run this incredible institution. I just saw your operations division. I saw your trading room. You just got to have enough people to serve the clients, the number of clients that you have, the number of transactions they want to make. And if you don't have the right amount of people, then you slow down. And that's what we see in our process. Without enough courts, prosecutors, et cetera, you have a slowed down system. And when COVID hit, the courts were basically without trials for over a year, some going on 2 years. That really up the caseload. So unfortunately, it increases victimization. It keeps people out on bail longer. That's not always good. I was a criminal defense lawyer like Jolanda. She's done it all her career. I did it for 10 of my 35 years, but I've been down there every day. And we know that clients often have a hard time with long periods of waiting for trial because it's hard for them to get jobs, et cetera. So it's just best for everybody if we get these cases tried sooner rather than later. And when it comes to the horrific acts against children, that kind of thing, those cases should be prioritized, and they are. And we're going to be trying to get homicides themselves prioritized by the courts so that we can get families the justice they deserve faster. We don't want them to have to wait 5, 6, 7 years.
Oh, yeah, because something could happen to evidence, or something could happen to the witnesses. I mean, they could just move or
It happens
pass
every
away.
day.
I mean, they could just natural things. And then,
They
so
do.
the key witness is gone, and then all of a sudden that person's out.
Yes. And so it's perceived as great unfairness by crime victims, and they're not just perceiving it that way. I agree. That's part of why I'm here, to encourage people to serve on juries, support the addition of more courts and more prosecutors, and report crime.
I want to in a second about more courts and more prosecutors, but we already have several backups and calls.
Yep.
Do we have another? Is there a Pam Medina on?
Hi, good morning. How's everybody?
Pam, how you doing? You have me and you have DA Kim Ogg.
Hi, Kimog. How are you, DA Kimog? Good to hear from you, or good to hear you. Rather.
Thank you. Listen,
From
I'm
you.
wishing you great luck.
Thank you so much. It's
So, Pam,
a
which
long journey.
yeah, what court are you running for again?
Probate court number 2
Probate
here
court.
in Harris County.
And
Harris County.
do you
Why?
interact with the DA's office or not really? Is a probate court not really, right?
not-
No,
but-
but she's terribly important. These probate courts handle everything when your loved one passes away. And so knowing who you're
Right.
voting for, Pam is a qualified lawyer. I can't say more than that,
Understood.
but let me say, when we
Thank
have
you.
elder abuse or we need guardians, that kind of thing, many times the victims or the families interact in both courts.
Ah,
Right.
So-
Right.
so that's all the stuff under your domain if you were elected. Is that correct there, Pam?
Guardianships, as well as probating someone's will. And there are various ways to do that, not necessarily just a probate of a will. Trust drafting, trust modification, and litigation surrounding any of those areas when those don't go as planned.
Now tell me, I have this image, and tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong, or tell me I'm right if I'm right. I have this image of if someone passes, the father, the mother, all the siblings are there in your court, like arguing about, well, no, I get that. No, you get that. I mean, is that what it's like? And you're trying to figure it all out for everybody?
Well, good estate planning can help stay out of the probate court. In fact, we're presenting in a couple of weeks, actually, on exactly that topic at the Mexican American Bar Association monthly meeting. There's ways to stay out of the court, but of course, the will contest or otherwise other types of contest will bring you back into the court, but it can be very costly. So we always try to get out in the community and just remind everyone to plan ahead. Your estate plan is extremely important.
That's wonderful. Well, let me give you the last word here, Pam. What's your website and everything? Are you going to vote today?
I'm definitely going to vote. I'm heading out to Weekly Community Center. Then I'll probably head to West Gray at some point, Sunnyside, Acres Home. So I'll be all over the place today. I am voting. Yes, my website, PamelaMedinaCampaign.com.
PamelaMedinaCampaign.com. That's an easy
Yes.
one. Pam, we wish you great success there. So keep going and working hard.
Thank you. Thanks so much for everything.
Thank you,
Good
madam.
talking to both of you.
Well,
You too.
Bye-bye.
thank you for being on the show. We have a Charlotte. Is there a Charlotte on the line? Is there a Charlotte on the line? Miss Charlotte.
A tip 1.
Miss Charlotte.
Hi.
How are you there, Miss Charlotte? You have me, Gilbert Garcia, a tip from Gilbert, and DA Kim Ogg. What you got for us today?
Hi, great to hear from you. I'm enjoying the show. I have a question for Kim.
Wonderful.
Kim, I was interested. You're talking about kind of your backstory and your dad and everything, and you said that the DA, obviously as a DA, you're focused on the justice system, and you said the role of the government is to deliver a fair system that protects people, but also there is this math problem, right? Like at some point, even in running a business, growth capacity can't be the solution. You have to look for more sustainability in the system. So I was just curious what your view is on kind of the role of government and providing social support networks for people as a way to minimize crime rates instead of a responsive effort of just increasing the ability to prosecute people.
I've always thought that it's just a balance between funding priorities that social services are absolutely required and better in many ways to serve people than the criminal justice system after something bad has happened. We see a lot of times the interaction of police in trying to deal with people who have not received or not wanted, or for whatever reason, they're not involved with social services. Often they're in people's parking lots. They may be untreated mentally ill people. They may be living by the bio. So what we've done is work with our mental health authority called the Harris Center to divert those people, even though they're in the hands of the police and arrested because somebody is called to complain. Instead of going to jail, the police and a lawyer from intake are directing the person, and they take him, the police do, to a respite center. And that has worked for 6,000 people.
Wow, how
Gilbert.
wonderful.
So there is I think, a real connectivity between social services and the justice system. And many times we get the people who are kind of caught in between. And I think smart solutions like working with those social service providers work better than simply jailing people. On the other hand, when you have very violent offenders who really aren't going to abide by not just our laws, but are going to continue to endanger people, we have to separate them from the community. And that's what jail and prison are for. And it can't be done without bringing your proof before the court. And that takes people. And so we're back to a balance in funding.
Amen. Charlotte, hopefully that made sense to you. Do you have a follow-up there?
I do have a follow-up. Just in hearing about all of your father's accomplishments that you were talking about, do you have kind of one thing that you hope to be remembered for, or kind of leave as your legacy when you're thinking in your day-to-day, your big picture goal?
That's a great one.
It is a great one. I want Houston and Harris County to be the safest county in America. To do that, we have to be the fairest county in America, too. Again, I'm promoting balance. You have to go after the violent folks, and you have to divert anybody that you can reintegrate successfully into our workforce and society. So I'm a big second chancer, and I think that keeping people safe makes them more inclined to back social service programs and second chance programs.
Charlotte, thank you for joining us on the show, and I hope you call in again in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Miss Charlotte. Let's go back to the courts if we could, Kim. So remind me, how does it all start? So if there's a crime, it's presented to the grand jury. Oh, if there's a
tip line.
please go through it all for us. Where's the grand jury, et cetera?
It's an assembly line. Our criminal justice process is much like watching a car be built. It starts with somebody experiences crime and they report it, or they see something suspicious. A policeman responds. They discover a crime has been committed or not. The perpetrator is either present or not. If they have enough evidence at that time, they present it to us to say, we'd like charges filed as the police on behalf of this citizen who experienced the crime. If the perpetrator's gone, they work to gather the evidence, and then they'll bring us sufficient evidence, we hope, for a warrant. So either way, the police are going to follow up. We're going to review the case, and we're going to either draft the warrant that a judge must sign, or we're going to accept charges on the body in custody, the guy in the back of the car. But we have very little information at the beginning. And so cases change. People wonder, well, why did you do X at the beginning and Y at the end? Well, the truth is, as you gather evidence, the facts can look very different than they did with just initial information. And so we have to be evidence-based. None of this can be about who is liked or who is not liked. And so you either have the evidence or you don't. Sometimes we send the police back to get more evidence. It can be frustrating, but that's what is required by our system. Once you're in court, once your case is there, victims are called by our office within 72 hours, we hope, if they're victims of violent crime, and hopefully within a couple of weeks if you're a victim of property crime. This is new. We used to only reach about 2,000 people a year. Now we reach about 30,000 people a year. So it's much better service, and we're getting lots of restitution for people in the form of money when their case is about money. They had property damaged in a hit and run, or somebody broke their fence, or somebody caused them to suffer bodily injury and they had hospital bills. although we're not a collection agency, we can try to make them whole. And that will often lessen the perpetrator's sentence. We cut a better deal to help make the victim whole. The idea is accountability and helping victims get back to where they were. You can't undo the crime or unring the bell, but you can help them be whole. Now, in felonies, Gilbert, everybody has a constitutional right to have their case heard by a grand jury. That's a huge change. What's happening now?
Okay. A felony, though, is where, just define what's a felony.
A felony is really any crime that is aggravated use of a weapon,
Okay.
Serious bodily injury.
Okay.
You've done it multiple times. You've stolen not just a little bit, but a lot.
Okay.
Sometimes it's value-based, but it's the more serious cases. And so as those are presented, everybody has a constitutional right to have their case heard by a grand jury. What is a grand jury? It's like a trial jury. It's 9 to 12 people who convene for 90 days. It's a big sacrifice. And yet you hear hundreds of cases. You really learn how the system operates. And you give a thumbs up or thumbs down as a grand juror about one thing, not guilt or innocence, but probable cause. Do we think, based on the evidence, a crime happened? That's the job of the grand jury. And what's so cool about it now is Houstonians changed the law. We had a very poor system where judges handpicked grand jurors, and you could literally manipulate grand juries. Now, thanks to the work of Johnny Mata, the Coalition for Justice, and a number of civil rights leaders out of Houston predominantly, but across the state, they worked for the last 30 years. Many of us worked in the trenches with them, trying to modernize these grand jury laws. Finally, Senator Carol Alvarado passed that law. Obviously, we had House sponsors too, but Carol was instrumental in making that happen. And I say Carol, Senator Alvarado. Yes. Sorry, I forgot my protocol there. She was instrumental. And so now we have fair grand juries. They're random.
When was that?
2016.
You mean all this time before 2016?
Yes.
A judge could just say, I think I'll have this person, this person, this person.
Yes. And even in police shootings, that's part of the reason there were no indictments for over 10 years in Harris County. I mean, there were more conservative judges. They picked more conservative grand jurors. Many times that was not a racially diverse grand jury. And you just didn't get the same perspective on police shootings as you do with 12 random people.
Right.
And those are still extremely difficult cases to prosecute. We lost a big one recently with a victim in Baytown. But I will tell you that just knowing that we are going to look at those cases that grand juries may true bill them, that is, I think, encouraging police departments to take a better look at training and arming their officers with non-lethal weapons. And hopefully it's getting into the consciousness of America and our law enforcement, which we are part of, that we're going to have to do all we can to preserve life. And it's difficult in dangerous times, especially when policemen are being shot. So all of this requires a balance, just like our Constitution. The whole system is set up, a system of checks and balances, just like your partner showed me.
Isn't it amazing? Let's go back for a second. So the grand jury, is that like, if I get a jury summons,
yes,
and then I go down to I guess it's the courthouse, I'm there.
Yes.
And I could be picked for a jury or the grand jury?
Yes.
Okay. So it's the same pool,
Yes.
Okay. But they're 90 days?
Yes. And so there's a series of questions because people's businesses may not afford them that opportunity. They may have health issues, et cetera, childcare. So not everybody can serve on the grand jury. But if you ever get the opportunity, it is a window into the soul of the criminal justice system. You'll see enough to see the trends and what's involved. And I think it's a real eye-opening experience for Americans to do.
And in 90 days, on average, how many cases do these 12 people, or is it 10? What number was it?
It's 9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Because you don't need a unanimous verdict to get a true bill, unlike a guilty verdict, which requires a unanimous verdict. They're different. One is just trying to decide, did a crime
Is there
happen?
enough evidence?
Is there enough evidence? And the other is your guilt and perhaps your punishment. So
going back for a second, the grand jury, you just need a majority?
You just need, you need a certain number of votes, usually at least 9.
Okay. And then to be on the actual crime, I don't know the right word, that court, it's unanimous. It has to be
Yes.
unanimous.
The verdicts
verdicts.
must be unanimous. And people don't know what indictments are. They're just formal charges that have been approved by a board of citizens.
Yeah.
It's a check and balance in the Constitution. It's a good thing. And so many times you'll see no bills. A good example, controversial as always, Deshaun Williams. A lot of people coming forward, a lot of civil lawsuits, but those cases were presented to a local grand jury. We can't ever disclose what was said or who all testified, but the victims who wanted to be there were. And so they found that he had not committed a crime against those people in Harris County. And then a Brazoria grand jury found the same thing up there. It's something people disagreed with, and we can't tell them what evidence they saw. But what we can assure you is that our grand juries get all the evidence. Everything we gather is available to them. It's presented by lawyers in the grand jury. The accused can have, they can present information. They can testify, but they don't have to because of the Fifth Amendment. And it's shrouded in secrecy. People find that frustrating, but it's there for a reason. If you've been accused of something and a grand jury says you didn't do it and we don't think there's a crime, then that is eligible for expunction and should not be able to be used to mar your reputation.
Yeah. So, see, it all makes sense to me. I mean, no, it's just hearing how it works. You just restored my faith in the whole system and the process. Let's come back for 1 second, though. So the grand jury, they meet. How many cases do they hear in 90 days?
Several thousand.
Come on.
Now, they hear them in rapid fire. They may hear 100, 130 in a session, and it may not be several thousand, but it can be.
Oh, my God. If I were one of those, I came up with to think I'd be, I don't know, nervous.
Well,
I mean, I'd be nervous. I'm just like, I got these people's lives in my hand and here I am and I take notes and I don't know now. I don't, I mean, it's like, that's like,
so
incredible.
That's why lawyers have such sacred duty to do their part to ensure that the justice system is fair, and prosecutors are at the heart of that. That's why we love the job. We have the discretion to do the right thing based on the evidence. And that's in fact what our job is, not just to seek convictions, but to see that justice is done. And so it's more than a statutory set of words. It's really what we live by.
That's amazing. We have a lot more callers though, but I'm so sorry. I'm backed up. Is there an Alexandra on the line?
Hi, Gilbert. This is Alexandra.
Alexandra, you're with me. A tip from Gilbert, talk inspiration and prayer, and DA Kim Ogg. What do you got for her or me?
Well, I've been seeing your signs all around the Houston area, and I'm just really curious to see if you have any announcements to make or any plans for the city of Houston or just Harris County. And I just want to say they are great signs. A lot of people have been telling me about them, so I just want to give you that shout out as well. Well,
I thank you for that. Well, first of all, what motivated me to start this show was DA Ogg. I was just frustrated hearing nothing but negativity on the media. Nothing but negative. And I don't know, I don't want to use these phrases you hear, fake news and this and that, but I just felt like, oh my God, it's madness. So that motivated me to start this show to do something different. And so I've been using it as a way to inform the public of real truth, real stuff, not what I think, but just stuff. And it's nonpartisan. Everyone knows, I'm a Democrat. Everybody knows that. But at the end of the day, I have everybody here, and anyone that's loves Houston is welcome to call in and talk on the show. So I have a lot of signs about that. And then lately, I was just concerned about voting. It just seems like it's getting harder and harder to vote. I hear stories about El Salvador, and you have this image of sort of Central and South America, and then here we are, the cradle of democracy, and we're making it harder to vote. They're making it easier to vote. Something doesn't add up. So I started putting out signs that say, please go vote. Just go vote. It doesn't say, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. It just says, go vote. And then I know they changed the voting location there in Denver Harbor. So I put some signs around there that say, go vote at the new location. So Alexandra, I really appreciate that. At the end of the day, those are the things that motivated me. do I have political aspirations? I mean, I'm praying on things. I'm thinking about it. But right now, I think the most important thing is getting people to participate here in 2 weeks or so. But Alexandra, thank you for bringing it to my attention, everybody's attention. I'm hugging you in cyberspace.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Thank you. I know we had another caller. Was there a Jesse there? Jesse, are you there?
I took one.
Jesse, I may have lost you. We're going to another caller. Is there is Jesse, are you there? Whatever caller's there, just put them through, producer.
Gilbert, I describe you as relentless optimism
There
in
you
the
go.
flesh. Relentless optimism
Amen.
for a solution to every problem, because there is one. We just have to work together.
That's right. And you know what? If you do it methodically and take out any bias or any history and just come into it, you'll probably reach a good solution, and keep an open mind. We have a Conchita Reyes there. Conchita, are you on the phone?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to encourage everyone to go out and vote. We have different locations where we're offering coffee and sweetbread, some elotes. Christina Morales is over here at HCC Southeast offering up elotes for votes, or elotes and votes.
Boy, I want some corn right now. Me
Yeah,
too.
I'm ready.
Me too. Well, Christina Morales is one of my favorite people. So where are you then? Tell us exactly, Miss Conchita. Where are you? What poll?
We're at HCC Southeast. That's on Rustic.
Okay. And where do you intend to go today? What are the places?
We plan on going. Well, we were here this morning offering cafecito y conchas, sweet bread, and that was sponsored by Councilmember Gallegos. And now we're here with Christina Morales doing elotes y botan.
How great! And what does it look like in the line there? Are people coming out?
There's a really steady traffic. They're coming in and out,
That's
and
great.
usually Monday, Tuesdays are the highest trafficking voting polls, and then it dwindles down, and then on Saturday and Sunday it picks back up because of queues to the polls, and Saturday is like the only Saturday that we have for early voting, and then it starts dropping again. So we're trying to encourage everyone. We also have tacos and votes on October 29th, and we have 8 locations that we're going to be pushing. Can I name them?
Yes, name them and tell us the time. If people want to go vote and get a taco, what time?
So Tacos and Vote is going to be October 29th. That's this Saturday from 11 to 2. We have 8 locations, which is in the Aldine area, Baker Ripley. We have Pasadena. We have South Houston. We have HC Southeast. We have HCC Southwest. That's in the Bel Air area. And then we also have Moody Park and Denver Harbor.
Amen.
And Denver Harbor is the first time they've ever had early voting location. So Denver Harbor is really excited. It's a really a great opportunity for the Latinos and those living around that area to be able to early vote.
Now, Conchita, tell us, are these like good fresh tacos? I mean, tell me about these.
I want to hear about the elote.
Yeah, and the elote. Is this like right off the corn? What is it? The shuck or whatever you call it? Is it right off the corn? With
it's
like
street
the
corn.
cob.
fresh
I'll
butter?
send you a picture.
What's a shuck? I don't even know. What is it with
It's
butter?
a verb. It's how you get the
Oh, is that
get
what
the
it is?
silk
Is
off
that-
the corn.
Is
Dude.
that? I mean, look at
Come
this.
on, my mom's from
It's
Iowa.
corn on a cup with it's
Fresh
by
butter?
Elotic.cup.
Oh
And
my goodness!
they have Doritos. You can put Doritos on it. You can have tajin on it. You can have cream, chipotle,
Well,
all kinds. All
right, tell our friends
every
that
flavor.
in the East End. Hello, I lived over there for many years, and you got me hungry.
Yeah.
We're ready for lunch already.
DA Ock's going to swing by and go vote now to get some corn. No,
Yes,
that is
that's
not
right.
a quid pro quo. That is not
there
a
you go.
quid pro
That's
quo.
right. That's right. No quid pro quo here. Other than, you know what? Come on. Let's see. I want to go to this polling place. There's nothing. I'll go to this one. I get corn. But
Or tacos.
or tacos. Well, Conchita, thank you for calling in. I hope we accomplish what we're trying to do and what I know you're trying to do in your heart, which is get people out to participate.
That's right. This is their freedom. This is one way of showing their freedom, is their democratic right, their democracy right of showing their votes, coming out and supporting. But please don't just take yourself, take your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your grandmother, your mother, your children, make it a family ritual, and let's get out the vote.
You know, on that note, very quickly, I used to take my kids to vote. And of course, they were underage, but I did it just so they could get used to going and learning.
Oh, yeah.
And they would see the slate and all this sort of thing. So, parents, take your kids, make this a lesson. Talk about at the dinner table, make it a lesson, and let them know that there were people who had to pay to vote. Conchita, thank you for being on the show. You got a last word there you want to say?
Yeah, that we need everyone. Your vote definitely will count in midterm. If you feel like you've never been heard, this is the time. And we really hope that people take the time to teach others as well. This is something in the Latino community that hasn't been taught excessively. And we are trying to teach everyone that this is part of the democracy and the right for you to be here in this country. So go vote.
Amen. Go vote. That's the key. I think we have another caller there, producer. Who do we have there? Jesse. Is there a Jesse there?
A tip one.
We need to get requests in writing.
Is this Jesse?
Yes, sir. Gilbert Garcia. I want to thank you, first of all, for getting all the signs out reminding people to vote. I want to thank Kim On for being the hardest working DA in USA, and thank her for all the work she does in the community. I see all her ads in Kiwanda magazine reminding everybody to be safe and get involved and stop trafficking. And I want to thank Kim On for doing a great job. She's doing an awesome job working 24/7. And I just want to remind everybody, please don't be a tonto, vote pronto. I'm excited about Demerol Harbor. We got an early voting spot in Demerol Harbor, and we're going to have a jump house. We're going to have mariachis. We have lowriders. We got popcorn, cotton candy, and got everybody else out, the face painters, balloon artists, and tacos. We're going to be broadcasting live at Juarez Bakery and Taco Shop, and want everybody to go out there and say hi to all the great people in Demerol Harbor. We're excited. We got Demerol Harbor as a new voting place. Early voting is now in Demerol Harbor. Demerol Harbor used to be one of the political hotspots for voting, with people voting 50%, then came down. So we want to get up again, Gilbert, and please tell everybody to go vote. Don't be a tonto. Vote pronto.
Don't be a tonto. Did you get that, Kim?
Man, I love Jesse.
Don't be a tonto. Vote pronto. I mean, I need a sticker of that.
Jesse never gives
right?
up. Jesse's always out there for the community.
He really is. He's phenomenal. Very quickly, I think we got one. Jess, thank you very much. Call in again. We have another caller here. Let's just make sure we get that in. Is that a Ricky? Rookie? Excuse me. Ricky, Rookie, are you there? Rookie.
A tip one.
Rookie. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
How are you? This is Gilbert Garcia. A tip from Gilbert. You have our district attorney, awesome district attorney, Kim Ah. You got something for me or for her?
For you for having the good sense to have such a distinguished guest as who I consider a friend, Mrs. Kim.
Thank you.
I must say it's been over 20 years. In fact, I have a lot of respect and admiration for you and in the job that you're doing, and because after all, you're responsible for me serving on the advisory board of Crime Stoppers for Houston when you was executive director, and we met when I was at the captain over at City of Houston Housing Authority, and I had wrote a memorandum of understanding between you and Crime Stoppers, and we designed some signs together. And it's just been years and time just passed by, and I just watch you as you continuously and grow. And after listening to you on The Source, which was a pleasant surprise today, that the way you explain things, I think you should put on more public educational, just like you're doing clinics for the public, so that it can really understand the very nature of crime and the attorney's office and how you handle it, like you explain it, I think that would do well for your department to do come up with a proposal like that, Kim.
Thank you. That is a great idea.
Ricky, stay with me because we're going to lose the radio station here in about a minute. No more song. That's fine, producer. And again, thank you. This is a tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer. We'll just cut it when we need to cut it, and we're going to keep going on social media. I think Ricky has a great point because I feel like I learned today, and I think D.A. Ogg, the way I think the best thing was it's like an auto assembly. It's tight, it's professional, and you go from here to here, step 1, step 2, steps 3, and it demystified the whole process for me.
That is great.
That's what she did. That's what she did.
Right, Ricky?
Thank you.
It's just because,
absolutely.
Unless you participate, you don't know.
We got a little simple video coming out. We kind of reduced it to those stick figures that you see in cartoons, but it makes it understandable. And many times people are emotional after a crime happens. It's very difficult to focus. They may be hurt. So we've made it as simple as we can. We'll get it distributed to you guys as soon as it's released.
Yeah.
Rookie, we're going to go, I think, on the road. I think we'll go out we've been to the super neighborhoods, some of the chambers, but I need to get more grassroots to where people are, Gilbert.
And I think you got to go through. That was just such a great cadence. This is how it starts. It goes to here, it goes to here, it goes to here. And then it starts crystallizes in my mind. And then you could start appreciating some of the challenges.
Yeah.
Like, you just said it, not to be political here, but you just said it. You need more prosecutors. You need more courts. It's so obvious. All you got to do is do the math. And you can see it can't get done. Go. Rookie, go ahead.
And let me add something to this.
Go ahead.
Look, it's all about crime prevention and reducing it and protecting our citizens. When I first met Mrs. and I wrote that memorandum of understanding. Well, I have designed 2 crime prevention posters that, such as what Reverend Nash did, that's already done. It got the message that you can post all over the city, the state of Texas, and I would like to maybe fax those 2 copies to you, Mrs. All, so you can look at it. Because when you read, you say, "We must do that."
We'll get them. We'll get it distributed. You get it to Gilbert here if you can, or we can get together. But I think it's a great idea. I've seen some of the signs that Reverend Nash put out in Sunnyside. Crime can't hide, that kind of thing. That's good.
This right here, I'm telling you, it is. I did it 20 years ago, and I looked and I love Reverend Nash signs too. This really gonna grab you because when you see it, you don't even have to read it. You see what's happening, even though it has some words. Very few. Yes.
Well, let me give you my cell phone real quick. Feel free to call me or text me 713-443-4330, Rookie, and just send it to me, and I'll make sure I put it on the website and I show it on there and all that kind of stuff.
I shall do that today, no problem. And it's been a pleasure to once again to even though it's been via airwave, be in your pleasure again too, Mrs. R. And may you continue successes in any endeavor that you pursue.
God bless you, sir.
Well, the beautiful thing is if she's successful, we'll all be successful,
Amen.
right? Because that's really what it's about. Rookie, thank you for calling into the show, and I hope you call in again. I'm so glad you pleasantly turned to one of the stations and then you heard us there. And so we thank you for that. We're on every Monday, of course, and we're on KWWJ, which, of course, is Keep Walking with Jesus, the KYOK, the legendary KYOK, KCOH, The Source, Aliento Radio, and Sangeet Radio every Monday from 11 to 12. Thank you, my friend. So let's do this. I think we're going to wrap up. Was there another caller? Yeah. We'll take one last caller. Mark, are you there? Mark, are you there?
A tip 1.
Mark, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing?
Good.
How y'all doing?
Good. You got me, Gilbert Garcia, a tip from Gilbert with D.A. Kim Ogg. You're our last caller. What do you got for me or for D.A. Ogg?
I just want to tell Miss Kim Ogg that she's doing an outstanding job, and what's going on in the media with the Republicans and the Democrats. And I ask that don't get into the rhetoric of what they're trying to do is try to put the Democrat Party against each other with Lena Hidalgo. They know that you are the top person. If you want to file charges, they just trying to force you to file any type of charges on anybody just because it's around election time. The same thing that's happening, what's going on, has been going on. Y'all doing a great job when it comes to crime, putting people in jail, and when they talking about this bond reform, and y'all letting people out, judges letting them out. It's not that. We understand that the Congress is the ones to change the laws and make the laws. As long as the judges and the Democrat Party follows the rules, then we can make through this here, because what's going on, not only here, but across this country, Republicans are just saying things and putting things out there. And hey, y'all have a job to do, and I believe that y'all doing an outstanding job. So keep up the good work, Kim. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Mark, thank you for taking time out of your busy day and reaching out to us and saying hi to us. And I hope you go out and vote there, Mark. Don't forget.
I ain't forgot. It's voting. It's early voting. So I already know what time it is. I'm getting all the text messages. So everybody getting them text messages, just get out there and vote, because we're going to need this. Trust me, we need it. Thank you.
You go, Mark. Thank you, my friend. So I'm coming back to our guest, Kim Ogg. Kim, there was an old show, I think you probably remember, Carol Burnett. And at the end of the show, they'd sing that song, I'm so glad we had this time. Can you believe we've been on now an hour and 5 minutes, and it's just like that.
No,
right?
your
Isn't it like
optimism is contagious. Yeah. It makes the time go by
It
really
flew.
quick. And I want to thank the listening audience for giving us your attention. We're trying to get important information out to you, for you, and because of you. And we appreciate you. I love Houstonians. I trust them on juries. So come on down and serve if you ever get that jury summons. It's a good thing.
Well, you keep doing everything that you're doing, and let's go vote and get some corn. Let's go get some corn. We'll get some corn. Thank you very much.
Go vote.
We appreciate it. This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer. We'll let this song play out just for 30 seconds, and then we're going to cut it off, and we'll see you next time.
Well, just give me the sign. I will be gone.
Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ, 1360 a.m. and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 a.m. and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 a.m. The Source on Sand Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 a.m. and Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 a.m. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.